hi, everybody. Look at me. I'm not by myself. What the fuck is that? Oh, it was you. I swear to God, I'm not used to hearing others. Well, as you noticed, and I clearly just noticed, I'm not alone. I'm with my good friend Jeff Ross, and he's our first guest. We're going to start having, I'm just going to have friends pop in. It's not going to be a big deal. And boy, I reached out. He reached right back out. Fuck yeah, here I come.
I love this podcast.
You all know Jeff Ross. He is the Roastmaster General. He is the king of the roast, a brilliant comedian. I just did Mark Maron's podcast, and he told me that his parents got married at your parents' catering hall in New Jersey, which
Clinton Manor in Newark, New Jersey.
That's right.
Yep.
I love it. It's such a small world.
My great-grandma Rosie, she started a catering hall in Newark in the 50s before chicks really had big businesses like that. She was a pioneer in her field, and Mark Maron's parents got married there.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And Jeff has been Emmy nominated most recently for this Tom Brady roast, which was amazing. You know, people don't realize you have a lot to do with these roasts beyond your own kick-ass, crushing performances.
Thank you.
His book, remember when you wrote that book?
It was a while ago.
It's so good. I only roast the ones I love, busting balls without burning bridges. And boy, you are a master at that.
Thank you.
I mean, it really is true. I've never seen you say brutal things. And I've never seen you hurt anyone's feelings because when you do it, it really feels like love.
It's if I ignore you, that's the insult.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I was just on Kimmel, and I can't remember what it is Jimmy said, but I had no choice. I had to say, tell your face. And of course, I thought of you because you're the OG Tell Your Face. I remember thinking, I had said Tell Your Face, and I go, well, Jeff didn't make up Tell Your Face. And then I looked at your website, this is years ago, and it was literally tellyourface.com.
I bought it 20 years ago.
Oh, my God.
Having a good time? Tell Your Face.
I can't remember what I said Tell Your Face about. I think because he started getting teary about my dad, and then...
He said, I'm not going to cry. And you said, tell your face.
Yeah, because it's so funny because, you know, he's a crier.
Yeah.
And the second I said, we were talking about my dad, and I said, he loved you so much. And it was like I just saw water fill in his eyes. And I wanted to hug him, but instead I went, cry, 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 cry. Just so mean. Yeah. And he goes, I'm not going to cry.
Oh, my
and I was
God.
like, oh.
That's awesome.
I had to say Tell Your Face. Now you understand.
I love it. I watched your special, and I loved the special because I love your comedy, but I also loved your parents.
I know.
And then to get, be quoted in it, and then the video at the end and all of it, and Bernie, Shine, and all that was just such a compelling moment for me, and got a big kick out of watching your special.
Yeah, well, so in the special, I talk about Jeff coming to sit with my dad when he was dying. And I mean, I don't have a lot of, it wasn't really something I rolled video on, but I did when Jeff came, and I captured that moment, plus another joke you said to him, which wasn't in my special. And if you watch my special, Postmortem on Netflix, keep the volume on and watch the credits because there's just a million Easter eggs in there, including a video of Jeff talking to my dad. And
I loved it, and I feel like I may have been his last laugh. Because within 48 hours, he was done, and I was there sitting with him that day, and you were like, "Want to watch TV?" And I said, I've been watching Beef, but it might be a little intense for Schleppy right now. And he was like, I don't care. I'll watch it.
Oh, my God. You're the reason we watched Beef, which is literally my dad binged Beef on his deathbed. The limited series with Ali Wong and Steven Yeun that's so dark and fucked up. But, we like that in our family, of course. So that's so funny.
And then he watched the rest without us.
Yeah.
I think I watched one episode. I had to leave, and you watched a couple with him.
Yep.
And then you came back, according to the story, in the special in real life also. And then you came to watch the rest. He's like, I watched it already.
I couldn't fucking believe he watched Beef without me.
What a way to go.
I know.
And I told Ali Wong, like, when it happened.
Yeah.
And she didn't know how to feel. She's like, what?
I know, I told her too. I know. What do you do with that information, I guess? Sorry for amazing. Thanks. Loss.
Yeah, right. It's a compliment, but it's also like, did it kill him? I wear Schleppy's rainbow pool hat all the time.
That's right. You're the only person outside the family that got something from, I grabbed it because I knew you would want it. My dad always wore this like reversible, Gilligan hat, bucket hat.
A bucket hat.
It was like rainbow on one side and, whatever, something on the other side.
Right.
I go, I'm grabbing this for Jeff.
I cherish it.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
The only stuff I took was his T-shirt that says, peace is possible in English, Arabic, and Hebrew. He died just in time. And and I took a sweatshirt, one of his like short sleeve sweatshirts that he always wore, and I took his scale, which I never have a scale. I've never been someone who weighs myself, but I decided to take his scale and use his weight management system, which was I weigh myself every day. He goes, I know my perfect weight, and I weigh myself every day, and if I'm over, I eat less, and if I'm under, I eat more.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, that really does make a lot of sense.
Very practical.
To me. Yeah, it's like not a big deal.
I kind of love that. He was checking it like a stock.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's so
What
true.
happened to that big bike, that bicycle you got him?
Oh my God, he loved it.
Where is that thing?
You know what? So I got him this electric tricycle, and he always had, not always, but for a long time he rode a bike, and then when he couldn't do that anymore, he got an e-bike, and when he couldn't do that anymore, I got him a big electric tricycle because you see them on sets and stuff, like people driving through on sets and lots in show business in Hollywood. And he loved it. He went everywhere in it, and he decorated it, and he loved his tricycle.
He was a one-of-a-kind type of person.
When they died, I gave it to an older woman in the apartment building. Gave it to baby Huey.
He was a sight, man. I was thinking about some of the... I don't know if I'm allowed to just go deep in Schleppy world right now, but I was thinking about playing poker with him and him like faking bong hit heart attacks and all the funny shit he would say.
I've probably told this story on here, but years ago, Jimmy and I were still together, and he had like rented a beach house.
Right.
And it was like 4th of July weekend, and it had like...
I love this story.
The Dad was visiting, and we had a poker game. Jeff shows up with a huge red, white, and blue bong.
For 4th of July.
That we dubbed the Joint's chief of staff.
That might have been Jimmy Kimmel's joke. Yeah.
It's got to be the Joint's chief of staff. And my dad, who he'd take a little puff of pot maybe, but he took a huge bong hit.
Yeah.
So much smoke blew out of his mouth. I thought
there was a
scared.
new pope. I thought there was a new pope.
And I'm a wreck because it's like new LA weed that's like, so I go, Dad, this is not like regular weed. It's really strong. And we were on a second level that had like a balcony, and he was fucking with me because I was so worried about him being high. And then he goes, Sarah, you know what? I think I can fly. And he starts running towards the balcony like this. And I'm like, Dad, no. But he was just fucking with me. But he was very high. He sits down. He plays maybe one more poker game. And the bedrooms are downstairs. And he goes, I got to go to sleep. I can't do this anymore. And he starts making his way downstairs. And Jeff goes, I'll be in a minute. It's the little things. Oh, my God.
I remember when I was, he's asking me about a girlfriend once, and he's like, do you love her? You know, he's asking about love. And I remember him saying, he's probably said this to you, but he's the only person ever to say this to me. He said, you know, to love is beautiful, but to be loved, delicious.
Yeah.
And everyone loved him. I respect the fact that Schleppy was, like, ready to go when his wife passed away.
Yeah, he really just wanted to be with Janice, whatever that
is.
Or, yeah. He said, yeah, you're all doing great. I'm not worried about you. I just want to go.
Yeah. How old was he?
85.
That's a good run.
Almost 86. It is, but like he totally had his marbles completely.
For sure.
like and yeah, but he didn't want to be here without her. He really didn't.
My sister's in-laws are in their 80s, and you know I had a engagement party for my nephew this weekend, and that night, I had a show Friday at Largo. I did my banana show, and then Saturday I had.
Flanagan texted me. He's like, "It's so brilliant. It's so brilliant."
He loved it.
Yeah.
And my whole family came, which was obviously nerve-wracking, but also beautiful. But my sister's in-laws I've known since I'm a kid, since they went to the prom together, these kids. So now these older people, Alice and Paul, they're like my aunt and uncle or like my parents. I've known them my whole life. So they're in the hotel and he slips and he hits his head.
Shit. Fuck.
And he misses the engagement party the whole next day. And the whole joke was like, they were all, my brother-in-law and his family were like jealous because my sister and I, we lost our parents young and they don't have to deal with any of the bullshit. So this guy's getting a pacemaker. He's ruining the engagement party. Everybody's worried about him. He feels bad, but not that bad because he likes the attention a little bit, I think. But suddenly, you know, there's something about handling all that stuff when you're young. It's hard, but that I look at my friends now with their old parents and I go, oh, geez. That's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, you went through the hard part early, but
yeah.
Lucky you. Hey, should we take calls? I mean,
you left me a message. Now I'm playing it for the world. Let's hear some voicemails.
All right, what do we got?
Hey, Sarah, it's your friend Tobe. Hey, Amy. Hey, I wanted to ask you and Jeff Ross a question. When just growing up, I always listened to comedy, and especially the roast, to kind of get me out of a funk whenever I was in a bad situation.
Nice.
Really helped me out, especially in high school when I went to a very racist school. Like, people were just very racist in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And it just helped me kind of get the confidence to kind of, you know, throw it back to people when I was being bullied. So I always watch the roast, and Jeff is always the king of the roast. One of my favorites was Greg Giraldo, Patrice O'Neill. They're both like 15 and 14 years past this year. So I just wanted to see if you had any stories of them together, or you guys together. These are your contemporaries, your peers at the time. So I was wondering if you had any stories to kind of keep their names alive, keep their memories, in our hearts. All right, I love y'all both. Take care.
I love them both, but you had way more experiences with them because you were in New York a lot longer than me.
Greg Giraldo, I'll start there, made me funnier because he would get booked to open the roast.
That's right.
So I would always have to follow him. So him and Jesse Joyce would write these like searing, hilarious roasts. And then I had to try to do whatever was left over. And it forced me to look for angles and ins that nobody could think of that were personal to me or so well researched. And I always felt like Greg Giraldo, it was like, for me and him in those roasts, was like Ali Frazier. There'd be no Ali without Frazier. And same back and forth. Like, it made me so much better. And when he finally passed away, I was heartbroken because I admired him. And then they put Jeselnik in that spot, and I was like, fuck, here we go again.
Well, you so often close the roast, so you write pages and pages and pages of jokes, and then you're just crossing them out as different comics hit it before you. But the really weird, ominous thing was that Greg closed the roast, the last roast he did before he died, and then Patrice closed the last roast he did before he died.
Interesting. And Greg also, I don't know if I've ever told this on a podcast, but when he was an open micer, he still had one foot in the law. He was a Harvard graduate, Harvard Law School graduate who didn't have his heart in it, still got married young and was living in his parents' basement in Queens and struggling to get going as a comic. And I was on Long Island doing a college gig with Red Johnny and the Round Guy.
Oh, my God.
Some guy pulled a fake gun on me, and I thought it was funny. So I grabbed the gun, and it was like an obviously fake toy.
Yeah.
And I walked around Red Johnny, John DiMaggio, Futurama fame. He does Bender. But this is way before that.
Yeah, he was in a comedy team called Red Johnny.
That I wrote for and I opened for. And I jokingly give him a hug from behind and put the gun to his head and go, "That was a terrible show, man," just joking around. And before I got the sentence out, I was on the ground, handcuffed, because somebody thought it was a real gun and had notified the campus cops and the real cops earlier. So they were like watching this gun. And I couldn't afford a lawyer, so I asked Greg Giraldo to represent me. So him and I slept in his parents' basement with his wife, so that we could get into court by 8 a.m. in Long Island. And he was just looking to make friends in show business, so he did it as a favor. He danced circles around this local Long Island judge and got me completely dismissed from this inciting a riot charge.
Oh, my God. Thank God. I mean, besides the fact that it is so stupid of you to do that. I mean, just like anything that resembles the shape of a gun and waving it around.
Student activity center.
It's probably a different time then. But I mean, just beyond stupid.
Yeah.
But
I take responsibility. It was a toy, but I take responsibility. And I remember me and Greg at Bonnaroo having so much fun watching Stevie Wonder and Jay-Z and just dancing and I never really got to see the druggy side of Greg. It wasn't part of my world. I remember he showed up. Me, him, and David Tell were doing a show Thanksgiving Eve. That's always a big night before Thanksgiving for comedy. There's always
right, because people are home.
Yeah. And I remember Greg showing up so late that it screwed up our whole run of show. And I was like, oh, I see what's happening here. It reminded me of my dad driving erratically and talking a mile a minute on cocaine or something. And I was like, oh, I recognize this. And that's when I realized, oh, he's a totally different guy than I know. As at the roast, he wasn't like that. He was very
there's
professional.
A piece of him.
Right.
Yeah.
So that sort of was the beginning of the end. But I do remember one of his last roasts was for Joan Rivers, our friend Joan, who loved you, Sarah.
Oh, I loved her so much.
And the rule was and Melissa, if you hear this, I love you, and this has nothing to do with modern times, but it's the rule that Joan was protecting Melissa was leave Melissa out of the roast.
Oh, she loves Melissa. She loved Melissa so much. She was very protective of her. And of course Melissa's a tough she's a tough cookie.
Yeah,
but
now she's a woman. But back then she was just like, hey, maybe I'll be around show business too, and not really sure what she was getting into and whatever. I don't know.
Leave Missy out of it.
And Greg Giraldo, of course, goes on first and just does 12 minutes like eviscerating, the Nepo baby angle. And before that was a thing. And you can see it in Joan.
Melissa's had it so easy.
And, Melissa kind of took it well on camera, but she walked up to Greg in the commercial break and she's like, you knew the rules. You knew the rules. And Greg looked at me and I was just like, dude, you're fine. You did your job.
Yeah,
you killed.
I mean, he's exactly the kind of comic that you can't give any of us, when given rules, want to break those rules. It's like
one time at a roast, they were like, "Don't make fun of Jerry Lewis's kids from the muscular dystrophy telethon." And I was like, "Oh, that's an easy one to keep." So all the comics were totally fine with that. And I was like, what a weird thing to say. Why would anyone do that?
Were you roasting Jerry Lewis?
Yeah. And, Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese, they're all there.
Right.
They're all there at the Friars Club roast. There wasn't on TV. And, of course, I racked my brain for weeks going, I need a joke that makes fun of the kids that Jerry will like the impossible formula.
Because you wanted to, you had to break that rule, but you had to get away with it.
Take it right to the line. And
yeah.
I remember being on the phone with John Max, who's a great comedy writer. Yeah. And we wrote it together on the phone. It was basically, everyone makes fun of you, Jerry, but what about the good things that Jerry Lewis does? What about the fact that just this past Labor Day, a 6-year-old boy got up out of his wheelchair and walked for the first time to turn off the Jerry Lewis telethon?
Oh, my God, of course. That joke is so famous now.
Jerry Lewis loses it laughing. I have a picture on my wall of him laughing with De Niro and Scorsese slapping each other. And then, of course, Jerry Lewis had a heart attack on the plane on the flight home, and I blame myself. I don't roast anybody over 80 anymore, but breaking the rules. And the other thing about Greg is he wasn't in show business the way I'm in show business. Like I want to keep doing the roasts. I love being out in California. He was still living in New York. He didn't give a fuck who he offended. So it gave him a little bit more swagger than maybe some other comedians might have. He just didn't care, and I really admired about that. He had freedom.
Yeah. And then Patrice, my only story about Patrice, and it's not even a personal story, it's just, I remember a night at the Cellar, upstairs, not in the club, but upstairs where the comics hang out at the Olive Tree. And Patrice was holding court up there. And
as
just
you would.
Tears. I was just crying, laughing. And coincidentally, Tig Notaro was there, and she was right outside the Comedy Cellar holding court and murdering. And I was literally running back and forth from one group surrounding Tig to one group surrounding Patrice, just sobbing, laughing at these two polar opposite comedians.
Right.
Just talking shit to other comics and just
great.
All of us just sitting around just soaking it in.
I love it. But the thing that Tig has that Patrice had was this fearlessness and this super sarcastic thing that would just pulverize people. So I love that. That's sounds like a scene from Crashing or Hacks or something, right? You're going from one comic to the other, just laughing at both of them. Yeah,
but you couldn't write it because they're both so brilliant and so unique.
Patrice with the roasts, since the question was about the roasts, I had asked, I produced the roasts way back when, right up until now, and a lot of times these wouldn't get made unless I started putting feelers out to celebrities to get roasted. Nobody was really fishing actively, and everywhere I would go, it would come up. And I had been touring with Charlie Sheen.
Oh, right.
Because
the Tiger Blood.
I didn't know him, but his shows were tanking, and it needed somebody to come out and make fun of him on his crazy winning Tiger Blood tour. And I had never made that much money before, so I couldn't resist it. They needed me. And because I was roasting him in different cities, I I was building up this whole act, and I was like, Charlie, this shit's too good. We're going to have to roast you on Comedy Central. They're going to pay you well. He was sober at the time, so he was taking it really well. And I had been asking Patrice O'Neill for years to do the roast because I knew that he was like a secret weapon. Like he's like an assault rifle of roasting, because I would see him the way you saw him at the table at the Comedy Cellar, just nobody was safe. And he's like, I don't want to roast him. I don't want to roast her. I asked him so many times for different roasts. And he always said, when you roast somebody I know, I'll do it. I go, Patrice, you don't know anyone. You don't talk to anyone except these 6 comics at the Comedy Cellar.
Right.
So finally, Charlie Sheen comes up. And for whatever reason, I needed to open or something, and I needed a closer. And I took one more Hail Mary. It's not an easy call to make Patrice. He was a gigantic, intimidating, mean mofo. Like, he was not going to be, oh, hey, great to hear from you. You know, he's just like, what? Huh? When? I got it. And he snaps at me a couple times. And finally I go, dude. He goes, I don't know Charlie Sheen. I go, really? Well, why don't you try to figure out who, you do know who he is. You know a million guys like that. You totally get it. It's going to be, and he takes the gig, he shows up, and I see him on the red carpet, and he's in a black leather outfit, rock star, like he's in the zone. But in his appearance, in his outward appearance, but backstage right before, he's like, I don't know, this is last minute, none of my friends are here, all these white dudes wrote these material for me, I don't know how funny it is. I go, first of all, you don't need your friends here. Make new friends, Patrice. You're at this great show with all these great people that are rooting for you, that are trying to help you. Like, my best talks with Patrice were always arguments.
Yeah.
But we respected each other, so it didn't get out of hand, and we listened to each other. And he goes, I don't know about my material. Well, I go, all right, well, fuck the material. Roast the roast. You're going on last.
Yeah.
Just pay attention.
He was brilliant.
And that's what he did.
I mean, wow.
He addressed each one of us and what we did. Well, and it was William Shatner was there. Like he just went after each. He called me. He's like, he just basically just eviscerated me. I don't get it with Jeff Ross. Like even though he was ruthless and then ruthlessly funny. And then he was dead within a year, I think. It was really crazy. Yeah. Like he had this kind of rock star moment, this like whole new thing, and then he was just gone. So shout out to Patrice. Shout out to GG, the great Greg Giraldo.
We were together when we found a Giraldo because it was on my roof, right? Were you not there?
I was at yoga. I was at Yoga for the People on St. Mark's with Alex Edelman, who was like...
Oh, what?
I was showing him how to do yoga, basically.
Oh, so you didn't... Because we found out at like 1 in the morning.
No, but I'll tell you what, I do remember this about you and that. And the whole community and the whole comedy community was like, Greg Giraldo's in a fucking coma. Everybody was like paralyzed.
Right.
And I was like, let me just turn my phone off for an hour. It was like everybody, because at that point he was just a major player in the New York comedy scene. He was beloved. And I went to the funeral, and afterwards... It was a very emotional funeral.
Oh, Todd, Barry, and I went, and we got there early, and his mother was there sobbing over the coffin, and his 3 young sons were running around not knowing what's going on, just playing and running around, and it was...
And some of those kids are like comics now.
Really?
Yeah. That's crazy. It's awesome.
Wow.
But afterwards... We were all in a daze. You, me, and Chris Rock went to...
And Todd Barry.
Maybe Todd, too,
We went to the Gemma.
Gemma over next to the hotel.
I was just going to say that because I'll never forget what Chris Rock said. Do you remember what he said?
Of course. You can tell it.
We're going to say this? Don't take the hotel at the local gig.
Yeah, go home.
Because, and one thing I've learned about addiction, because he was fighting it and he was trying to be clean but when you get that little idea in your head and you've decided I'm gonna use, you get this high before the high. That you just know you're going to do it, and it's a little secret you have with yourself, and you're suddenly excited.
And like when the doctor just told me he's going to give me prednisone for my sciatica, felt better immediately. Didn't even take it yet. Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, like that he was working in Jersey.
Stress factory.
And he
South
should have
Jersey,
driven home.
Hour and a half, hour from home.
But he took the hotel. You know, and
so that he could
probably
party and hang and see people and who's at the show. And I hold that all the time. I remember that, and I always go home if I can go home. Yeah. It's safer. No good is going to come at the Hilton 2 blocks from the gig when you could be home in your own bed 2 hours and
Yeah.
So
it's true. Oh, that was it. One question.
Here's some ads.
Shopify. Starting a business seems like an awesome, empowering idea. It is. And then all of a sudden, you are looking at a to-do list a mile long, but millions of businesses have found a tool that makes selling easier than ever, and that tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from household names like Mattel, heard of it, Gymshark, to brands that are just getting started, like your new brand. Get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand's style. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. Turn your big business idea into cha-ching with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Sarah. Go to shopify.com/Sarah, shopify.com/Sarah. Boom. Now and then you need a little something to help you get through the tasks of the day or help make your Friday evening more enjoyable. That's where our sponsor, Soul, comes in. Soul is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. Soul specializes in delicious, hemp-derived THC and CBD products designed to boost your mood and help you unwind. Their best-selling out-of-office gummies were designed to provide a mild, relaxing buzz, boost your mood, and enhance creativity and relaxation. The out-of-office gummies come in 4 different strengths, so you can find the perfect dose for your vibe. Choose from a gentle microdose, perfect buzz, a noticeable high, or a fully lit experience. I am a real THC connoisseur, and I think Soul sounds real good and delicious. Bring on the good vibes and treat yourself to Soul today. Right now, Soul is offering my audience 30% off your entire order. Go to getsoul.com and use the code Sarah. That's getsoul.com, promo code Sarah for 30% off.
And we're back.
Hey, Sarah, I love your show. Love you. Think you're great. This is the 4th recording that I'm attempting because I hate the sound of my voice. And
so do I.
Yeah. So what I'm calling about is really personal. For most of my life, I've considered myself straight, always loved women, never really thought about anything else. But recently I started watching porn that involved trans women, and it's something that's sexually exciting to me. And I think, it's something that I really want to explore. Like, my brain really wants to explore it in real life. And the conflict for me is that these are real people. And there's a part of my brain this is like a marginalized community. And I don't think it's appropriate to just go in with a fetish and treat people as just, when the scope of my interest is purely sexual. I don't know if it's appropriate. So I don't know. Your thoughts? That would be great. Thank you.
I think you can't go wrong with honesty.
So he wants to treat trans women as poorly as he treats regular women?
No, that he's saying the opposite. Well, first of all, we don't
Just
know
be
that
nice.
he treats. Yeah. Listen, have you never had sex with a cis woman purely for sex? You know? On the other hand, I mean, he is making a point that's interesting. It's kind of like, you have any friends that like only that are white or black and only date Asian women or something, and I don't know, what is that? Like, some people like big tits, some people like small tits, some people like, I'm a ball man. I like big, heavy balls. I mean, it's not a deal breaker, obviously, but I mean, I do enjoy them when I get them.
What about them? The weight, the taste, the feel, the look?
I like the look, the feel of cotton.
I've been told that I admit my penis isn't big, but my balls are big.
Yeah, I bet you have big pendulous balls.
Right. And that's definitely my But anyway.
But anyway, let's go on this. Let's go.
The other day I came home and my dog jumped on the couch and she'd been in the pool earlier.
How is this going to tie to your balls
it does.
on the edge of my seat?
Because my dog, like when the
Nipsey.
dog comes home, when I come home, I want Nipsey to like jump up on the couch. She runs right to the couch because she knows I'm going to sit down and talk to her for a minute and tap her head and tell her nice things and tell her about my day. And she tells me about what's going on around the house and we have a little chat. But the other day, as soon as she looked me in the eye, she went right to like licking herself. And I was like, Nipsey, not now. I just came home. Can we just talk for a second? And I realized I was scratching my balls. So I was like, oh, okay.
She was just like doing the same?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah, it was cute.
Oh, Nipsey. But okay, so let's talk about this.
Help this guy out.
I think honesty, right? If this is like, hey, I'm attracted to you, but this is kind of a kink and I'm conflicted about that. Is that fair to you? Or, you could probably find a trans woman that's kink is straight presenting men or, just as long as you're on the same page, just like if she was a cis woman, But yeah, your sensitivity is lovely, but it's remedied by just honesty, honest talk.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's up for something, if you're honest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's a trans woman who would fuck you and not want to be your girlfriend.
He probably doesn't trust the fetish. Like, why am I into this? Maybe it's bringing out something I don't like about myself.
And also, you're defining it as a fetish. That's a one night. If it's just something that you want as a one night stand or it's purely sexual, you don't even know. This is all in your head. This is all theoretical. You may fall in love with a woman who's trans. You may, all these things are just theory. The fact that you've always defined yourself as straight is, we're learning now is just people are fluid. Either you accept it or you don't, or you live that way or you don't. But I mean, you don't have to define yourself. You don't have to define your sexuality and stick to it. It's, not yet anyway.
Or you could just smoke a joint and jerk off to baby reindeer.
Oh, is that what you do?
No,
Which part?
That's what happens in Baby Reindeer. The lead actor falls in love for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful love story.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. That was good.
And they all got nominated for Emmys. It was perfect.
Yeah, you'll get nominated for an Emmy.
Because I remember being, I never got nominated. I got nominated and I went to this party and the first people that I saw was the entire cast of Baby Reindeer, which I watched in the hospital, like when I was like having surgery and I was like blown away. My sister and I like devoured that show.
Yeah, same.
So then it was like, I was kind of starstruck.
That's why I love the Emmys, because I love TV.
Yeah.
So just like, oh my gosh, there's that person. Oh my gosh. And you get to tell them,
I saw Al Pacino the other night. It was kind of a funny moment. And
how does that happen?
I was at a restaurant and I knew a friend of his and they were like, and I was with my brother-in-law and
Is it
his
that
mom.
Italian restaurant that you walk down the stairs?
No.
Oh, I saw him there once.
No, it was a private club. And he says, come over for dessert, So I'm like with my brother-in-law and his mom. It was like family dinner. And,
Oh, my God.
And, the Pops was in the hospital, like I mentioned earlier. So it was like, oh, this will be a fun little thrill for Alice. She's 82. Al Pacino's 84 or something like that. And we're sitting there, and it was a lovely conversation. But at some point, just to bring it back to what we were talking about, Fisher Stevens is sitting there, the actor
he's
turned
great.
phenomenal documentarian, and he starts telling Al Pacino about this TV show that he's been watching. And Al's looking at him, he's not really getting what the show is. And I just stopped and said, Al, a TV show is when you play a character over and over. It's like a series. He'd never done one. It was kind of cute.
No, he did. He was in a series.
I guess he was, yeah.
He
But
was
it
in like a like Nazi hunting series, wasn't he?
Yeah. But I thought it was cute.
Aw. All right. So, yeah, I feel like we answered that enough. Good luck. Let us
Good
know how
luck.
it goes. Yeah, enjoy this life. Run towards joy, however that looks. So you're not hurting anybody else.
New adventures.
Yeah.
Let us know. Did people ever call and tell you how your advice went over? Or?
Yeah.
That'd
yeah,
be cool.
and we've been trying to get people to so that we can. My dream is that when we have like a best of show, we can air the question and the answer, and then like the 6 months later
Love
when they
that.
call in,
Where are they now kind of thing. Sarah has a rabbinical quality about her, so I understand why the question part of this. It's fun to be a guest, but it really is about her and the question person, whoever
The
comes.
question person.
The questioner, the person answering a question.
caller?
Like Sarah's very good with life advice, so I appreciate
right.
the format of the show.
Thank you. You're not so bad yourself.
Thanks.
Here's some ads. Jubilee TV. Well, unless your parent is some kind of unicorn or tech genius, chances are you've had to play tech support for them. It can be frustrating, I'm sure, for both of you to have to fix or explain every little thing about their TV. Fortunately, you can support their independence and your peace of mind with Jubilee TV. This is very interesting. Jubilee TV connects your loved one's TV to your phone so you can fix tech issues, you can switch channels, you can switch them off of Fox News. You can stay connected from anywhere. Jubilee TV makes sure that time away from your parents does not mean time apart. With Jubilee TV, there is no new tech or apps for older adults to learn. They just use their TV like an old-timey TV. It's familiar, it's accessible, and they even keep their own remote. It helps older adults stay living in their home and supports aging at home independently. I think it's really great. You can monitor activity. You can set important reminders like turning off their TV, taking important medications, or going to appointments. Just all these things that you can do to support their routine, and you just do it from your phone and it goes right onto their TV. I love this idea. Aging parents should feel secure. They can use their own tech with ease, with confidence, and you don't have to drive over for every little question. Head to getjubileetv.com, getjubileetv.com, and use code SARAH for $25 off your order. Once again, that's getjubileetv.com, and use code SARAH for $25 off so they know that I sent you. Raise your glass to Taylor Swift with the Eras Pour, the new book with 60 cocktail recipes inspired by every era, including riffs off greatest hits, twists on her favorite drinks, call-outs to iconic moments in Swiftie history, and of course, an abundance of Easter eggs. Whether you are looking for a refreshing sipper like Fever Dream, a blackberry and bitters twist on a Pimm's cup in the middle of a cruel summer, wink, wink, or a cozy cardigan-worthy cinnamon and smoke-laced Peter losing Wendy to drink under a streetlight in a forever winter, the Eras Pour is for you. Filled with fearless flavors of Taylor's early days to the reputation-shaking mixes of her later albums, plus alcohol-free options for people like me, so everyone at the party has fun. The Eras Pour has got you covered. With stunning photography of the cocktails and a design that reflects Taylor's ever-evolving style, from her country roots to pop anthem queen, it's the perfect companion for your next listening party. London boys, Miss Americanas, and new romantics alike, grab your shaker tins. It's time to make the whole place shimmer. The Eras Pour. Get it? The Eras Pour is available wherever books are sold. And we're back.
Hey, Sarah, it's Ashley. Hope you're doing well. I love you and your comedy. And I wanted to get some advice from you on a guilty pleasure of mine. So typically, I'm pretty silly and a pretty easygoing person. But when something is pissing me off, and it could be anything, it could be something that someone did, an event that's happening, the weather, it could be anything. When something's like really pissing me off, I have this bad habit of just getting like so negative about it. And it really is a guilty pleasure, but particularly like verbally complaining about these things that are pissing me off to no end, privately when I'm by myself.
Oh.
So, it'll be like when I'm in the shower, walking around the house when I'm home alone, just complaining. And I don't have any problem, confronting people or things that are bothering me. I just have this like thing that I do. And it's like this like habit that I can't seem to break.
Stewing.
My mom does the same thing. And she seems to think that it's a good thing because it helps us get our frustrations out without like blowing up on whatever it is that's bothering us. But it's also very exhausting. As exhilarating and fun as it is, it's pretty tiring. So I wanted to know, how do you deal with things that piss you off? And do you do this? Thanks. Love ya.
That's like stewing, fixating. Doesn't sound that healthy, but I've absolutely have done it and do it where I just get, if I can't get my head around something, I will lock, like my jaw will lock on it. And I'll just think about it from every angle. But eventually when you realize this is not serving, unless this gets you through to the other side, this is like how you process, or it does something positive for you, it sounds like, maybe listen to music in the shower. I don't know. What do you think?
I do. Getting off your phone and in the shower or something like that, a walk without your phone, sometimes gives me clarity. I'm also better sometimes late at night or early in the morning when the phone's not ringing, when the dog's not barking, when the people aren't at the door.
But does anything ever piss you off and you just lock into it and then build off of it and it snowballs in your head and becomes something bigger? Or do you process through it to the other sid? Or
a little bit of, I've done both. If our friend Bernie Shine, the great magician, was listening to this, and if it was a person that was doing this to you, Ashley, our friend Bernie would say, then they win twice. Whatever was bothering you, and then you're carrying them around.
Well, it's so funny because one thing that came to mind was I would follow some guy named Troy Blyden on Instagram. I don't know him. But he posted something. He was with his Uncle Malcolm, and he says, Uncle Malcolm, what is the thing you just told me? And he says, and this guy goes, the definition of anger is an emotional punishment you give yourself for someone else's behavior.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, shit.
Yes.
Thank you, Uncle Malcolm.
Yes, that's well said.
Yeah.
So he's like a philosopher kind of person?
I have no idea. I just I saw it on Instagram and I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, you've all heard the expression, they live rent-free in your head or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, I try to stay positive and shake that stuff off. Unless it's a decision. If you're talking about a decision, then yeah, it's okay to take your time and be thoughtful. You don't always, but usually your first instinct is usually right.
It's funny, she's calling it a guilty pleasure. Like, if this brings you pleasure, go for it, But is it really giving you pleasure? Or is it something that you have inherited from your mother that is familiar to you and less work because it comes naturally, because it's written in you from an early age? Or is it something that you want to unlearn and that maybe you'll be happier if you do so? I don't know.
Sometimes, I don't know if this is exactly applicable to this person's issue, but sometimes writing it down, like I've written letters that I haven't sent. I do pro and con lists when it's a really tough one and it involves like travel or buying something or a big commitment. I'll really weigh it out and play it out like that.
Oh, I write long, angry letters to people that, then because then you're expressing it and you're getting out. So maybe that is what she's doing. And if that is a process that gets you through to the other side, then great. If it doesn't, it just snowballs into something that you've invented now. 80% of it is now invented in your head of what X is thinking, what, Y is thinking about you that you're imagining. I can remember Rory said something he had heard that was like, you are who you think people think you are. And that's just, what a waste of life and happiness. I try to go like, what people think is not any of my business, until it like affects me directly. But it's just not our business. That's a nice way to think about it, or not think about it.
Good luck, Ashley.
Good luck, Ashley.
Let it go. Let it go.
And your fun rage. Dad, wherever you are in time, space, this is part of the podcast when I say, send me your questions. Go to speakpipe.com/the Sarah Silverman Podcast. That's speakpipe.com, the Sarah Silverman Podcast. And subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you haven't yet, now is a super time to subscribe to Lemonada Premium. Just hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts, or for all other podcast apps, head to lemonadapremium.com for bonus content you won't want to miss. That's lemonadapremium.com.